So I'm going to cover the PowerPoint that goes over the basics of the analytical research paper. So if we go back to Module 4's main page, and we click on this week, the week of the March 28th, and as always, I have your readings, your videos, and PowerPoints, and your classwork and homework in separate folders. So let's go ahead and click into this video and PowerPoint folder, and let's click on the informative analytical research paper. So this is going to be somewhat repetitive of what we covered in the last video, but there are also some new things too. So let's go ahead and I'll launch this from the beginning. So again, what you're writing for Module 4 is an informative or analytical research paper. Also, sometimes you'll hear the term expository research paper. So what it is, what it asks you to do is, again, you're going to formulate a thesis, and that is your task for this week. Gather sources. You already have some of those sources. Evaluate them, and then use those sources, and this is the big part, to support your original ideas. And you want to document everything you've done. And again, we're using APA format in order to document your use of your material, your research. So for this essay, again, like I said in the last video, you are choosing an issue with multiple, possibly conflicting perspectives. Now, you've already done this. You've picked your issue, and you're going to write a well-researched analytical essay that examines, explains, and analyzes that issue. You've got to present at least two sides to that issue. You will be objective in your presentation of those sides of the issue. You are not arguing for one side or the other. You're simply explaining, hey, look at all the points of view there. If you're talking about video games and violence in teenagers, you want to look at both sides of, maybe you're trying to understand if video games contribute to more violent behavior in teen males. So you're going to research that and find out, oh, well, some people believe it does, some people believe it doesn't, and the reasons why, and you're going to present all the reasons on each side of that issue. And I know that's a little bit simplified, but just an example. So you all have your issue, your topic, I should say. Now you want to make sure you've identified what's controversial about your topic and decide what two sides of that issue you want to present. All right, so we go on. Again, we've talked about what you're going to gain for this, but I'll go into that a little bit more. So this will give you the opportunity to analyze an issue or a problem, and you're going to come across this all the time. Who do you want to vote for? What car do you want to choose? Again, all this maybe seems oversimplified, but you always want to look at pros and cons. What job to take? What do you want to even major in? So you essentially want to look at all the perspectives on any one of your real life issue, decide what what are the implications of that, and make your decision. So you want to try to be as objective as possible. If you're an engineer, a business person, a scientist, in your job, you're going to be called on to examine and often write documents that analyze complex issues. You want to learn to consider various perspectives objectively. That's important, to be objective. Your essay is going to include background information that the readers need to understand this issue. I'm not an expert in any one of your particular areas that you're looking at, and so you need to educate me, the reader, to understand what's important about the background of the particular subject matter, and then write an essay presenting your two perspectives. So it's different from a persuasive paper. A persuasive paper asks you to take a side on an issue, and an analytical research paper or an informative paper is informing you objectively about two or more sides about this issue, understanding kind of what all the kind of the historical background of the issue, and knowing what different people believe about your issue. So your thesis statement is not going to try to argue for one side or another. And I know in your working thesis statement, that's what you were trying to do. You were trying to, for your proposal, think about it in terms of persuading the reader. But now for this paper, you are going to write a thesis statement that will present both sides and show the reader that there are multiple perspectives, but not try to weigh one side more heavily than another. So, for example, if your issue is prescription drug abuse, your thesis statement should address the various stakeholders who does it affect, and all the perspectives on that issue in a clear and focused way. So I have some examples of thesis statements. You can read some of these on your own. Well, let's just take a look at the last one. So if I read the last one out to you, this will give you a pretty good idea of what you're trying to do with your topic. So if your issue is physician-assisted suicide, you were writing an informative analytical research paper, you might have a thesis statement that said something like this. The issue of physician-assisted suicide primarily has two opposing viewpoints. One focused on the ethics of doctor obligations, and the other focused on human rights. So as you can see, what you're doing is presenting different perspectives on your very controversial issue. And that is what you're going to attempt to do with your topic. You will need to identify what your controversial issue is. You've already started to do that with your proposal. And then you're going to try to identify two different sides to your issue and present those two sides in your thesis statement. Your paper will present both of those perspectives in detail. Okay, so let's see. So as you can see, those thesis statements didn't present any of the topics in the form of the argument, but in the form of a statement that communicates or forecasts what the essay is going to be about. The analysis will often analyze different aspects and points of view on a topic, but will not support either side of the issue. The topic is debatable, but your purpose is not to persuade, it's to present information. Back to the work for this week. What you need to do this week is formulate your thesis statement for your analytical, informative research paper on your topic. And remember, your topic is that topic from your proposal memo that you did in Module 1. So you need to pull that back up and start to work on your thesis statement. In class on Tuesday, we did some work on thesis statements. We're going to continue that on Thursday. And get that discussion board exercise going, and make sure you read your readings. There's a sample essay. It will help you understand this paper. And again, if we click into the readings, you can see we've got a couple of little seagull readings. This is the handout on that discussion board exercise. Here's a reading on synthesizing information. I need you to take a look at that. And here's the sample research paper. So looking forward to next week if you want to get a jump start on that. We're going to begin working on our outline next week. So you can open this up and take a look at the outline instructions. So I will see you all on Thursday.